Vasudevendra Yogendram Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattva Bodho Bhidiyate. So now it's time to begin experiencing creation. Begin to be sitting on a seat and feeling dense world. Begin to speak with dense people. Begin to eat dense food. So now what happens, this physical matter, the world is now come. How has it come? We said by this conversion. It's called Panchikarana. So the 5 subtle elements have become now grossified into the 5 gross elements, and now evolution has to take place. The time and space is built, and now slowly will take a couple of billions of years for the sun to be formed, for the earth to be formed, and then even when the earth is formed, then what? Then we have to wait for the smallest creatures, the single-celled organism, to go into a multi-celled organism, into something more complex. And then that has to take its course. So this means you, as a person, have to wait another couple of years, until you're still a worm, so you cannot think, until you have the full faculties of the 5 faculties of perception and action. But look at this. So this means this model of 5 faculties in perception, it not only is the maximum which you need to attain liberation, but also if a worm, right, obviously is not as smart as we are, but a worm will also have one of these 5, except it's going to have less capacities. Perhaps it will only have locomotion. That's why a worm can only do this. A bird can only fly, but this flying, moving the wings, is associated to what? It's also associated to hands. In their case, they don't grasp, they move their wings. Now, whether it's associated to their hands or to their leg, okay, we don't know, but this means the model for creating a species to do its thing on earth, to eat other species, to go and hunt antelopes, to be the pride in their little gang, little pride lion. Okay, whatever is necessary, the model has been made. The only one who gains the maximum capacities of this model, of this 5 organs of perception and action, is who? Is a human being. So this means we have so far the maximum capacities. Now the question of whether I use those capacities for the right thing or something that's inappropriate, that's a different matter. So the question is now, what is the point of this teaching? Why do we go through this model? Why? Would someone like to answer? Why do we go through this model? This creation model? Why is this on the board here?
So the mind accepts Vedanta.
So the mind can accept Vedanta? Okay. Why else?
Understanding. Understanding.
Understanding. Okay, so that we can end those questions. Why else?
Gratitude, that I can appreciate what's given to us.
To appreciate what's given to us, so it gives us something to devote to. It gives us something to appreciate now. See, you cannot appreciate something unless it's backed up by solid, concrete knowledge. Otherwise, your appreciation is vague. It's like, what am I appreciating? So this means, when I say I appreciate this world, what comes to your mind in that appreciation? How the entire world of effects is traced back to one single cause. So this means all effects that we experience right now, I'm talking about, this is happening right now. This model is showing you what's happening right now. What's happening right now? Out of existence, the power is constantly manifesting and it's creating this world right now. Wherever you look, there's what? Intelligence. because your body is being held intelligently, the organs are being held intelligently, and there's material. So constantly there is what? Knowledge and material, knowledge and material, knowledge and material. And in what does knowledge and material have its existence in? Sat Chit, Sat Chit, Sat Chit. Understand? So this is what's happening right now in this moment, this power called Maya, which has the capacity to manifest. What kind of a power is it? We said it is Upadhi, a power. What is Upadhi? That which makes something appear different. It makes Sat Chit appear different without intrinsically changing anything about it. So this means what? You remain exactly the same, but what everything else, what the mithyas is changing, the forms and names are changing. Now, how do you know that you're unchanging? How do you know that nothing, no creation sticks to you? How do you know this? Because if something was stuck to you, if anything was stuck to you, then what? You would have that permanently in your awareness. Is anything stuck to you at all time? Do you constantly see, like what? A horn, a deer horn in front of you, or whatever you move, it's this deer horn. You don't experience this. What do we experience? Always fresh awareness, ready to accommodate whatever experience is taking place. The old experience is gone, the new one gets its glory. This one is now gone, the new one gets its glory. There's nothing in our life that we can say has stuck to us. And even if you say that something has stuck to you, that is nothing but dependence upon what? Your memory. If you got amnesia tomorrow, right? Or, if you just sort of relaxed a little bit, what happens? You just forget about all things. But what remains when you're totally relaxed?
Still conscious.
The conscious being, the conscious I always remains. Now what happens? The mind comes back in with all of its stuff, and then what happens? That conscious one starts to shine of all of the now what? Things that come within my awareness. All of the things, whose things? The things that are assigned to this body, this body, this body, this body, this body. Your life starts to come. So therefore, what does this mean? This one consciousness is always true, always present, nityam. And within its presence, what's the only thing that's different? The experience of every individual that's taking place right now. But what we all have in common is there is awareness of this experience, there's awareness of this person Andre, there's awareness of this person called Shan, there's awareness of everyone's experience is being what? Constantly awared by what? By this reality right here, which is called, we call Atman, self, Atman. Okay? So this means the only true fact that is unchanging for all of us is what? The only thing that we can agree, we can have a discussion until the cows come home. Where does this term come from anyway? We can have a discussion for a long time. Maybe they call it you turn blue in the face, right? Until you turn blue in the face. Why not purple? Why not red in the face? I don't know. But
blood pressure.
Oh, okay, okay. But we question everything, right? So you can have all sorts of discussions, but what is one thing which you absolutely cannot agree nor disagree upon, nor do you even require to agree or disagree upon, nor is it even necessary to agree or disagree upon? That's, I'm aware, you're aware, we're aware, we're conscious, I am, you are, you say, you are. This is the only thing. Everything else is mithya. That's why it says, Atma kaha, Atma satyam, tadanyat sarva mithya iti. Everything else is mithya. So whatever you can agree or disagree upon is other than you. In fact, we use the formula. You don't have to use this formula. You can use the original formula from the book. Whatever is claimed as my argument, my discussion. No, this is my understanding. Okay? This is my resolution. Whatever you say is mine cannot be you. This is a simple understanding, and therefore what we all understand this intrinsically, that whatever my book is not my book. My body cannot be my body, because I am what this body is taking place because of my presence right now. Who's this when I say my body? Am I talking about this person? No. My body. Who is this my body? I was talking about the very same awareness that knows about this body right now. So it's not like my I, it's not only localized, but the same I knows about this body sitting here. Think about the implications of this. So this means, I'll get to it in a second, this means the very I am, the very awareness right now experienced or known, evidently from this standpoint, is exactly the same awareness from every person's single standpoint. So now, where is a wise person's focus? Is it on the forms, on the faces, on the stories, on the karma of how old, how young one is? Is it on all of that? Where is their focus automatically? The fact that you are conscious, the fact that I am conscious, can only be attributed to one single cause, upon which all comes back to Brahman. Therefore, the focus of the wise person is on what? Awareness. The fact that you're aware, the fact that I am aware, means what? That there is one awareness in whom different objects are taking place. You understand? If awareness is the same between this individual and this individual, then what is one common thing? In one awareness, there are different objects taking place right now, which is why we say Atma is the truth, everything else is just objects, coming and going, coming and going, coming and going, names and forms.
But the minus is the ahamkara, isn't it? The ahamkara puts this minus on things in the experience.
Good. So now, what is the ahamkara? How do you know that the ahamkara is not mixed in with awareness? Could that be a better question?
It's gone in deep sleep. It's gone in deep sleep.
Yeah, okay, there's no sense of I am in deep sleep. Okay. Okay, look at this. So the most common confusion is, how do I know whether this localizing agent, the one that stamps things as mine, how do I know that I'm not mixing that in with awareness? Because even if you say, I am sitting here, now I am going to, get up, I'm now standing up, I am standing up, I am sitting down, okay? I'm going to stand up again, and I'm going to now sit down. What is the same throughout this entire experience right now? If you were to follow me, actually, you will recognize something interesting, that I'm constantly aware, and yet I'm changing roles. I'm now sitting, I'm now standing, I'm now moving, I'm going here. So what's changing? The I am is experiencing different roles, different experiences. This experience of sitting and this experience of standing is owing to what? Ahamkara. But what knows that I was here and that I'm also here? What knows that? I know that. What's one constancy? I'm here, I'm still here. But what's the only thing that's changed? The body within the field of awareness. So now, what is this ahamkara? When you say, I am listening, really, look at this. Even ahamkara goes away. Suppose you say right now, I am woman. I am woman. Or I am rich. Suppose we say I am rich. What happens in the dream? You say I am beggar. So right now, I have an identification with, I am man, I am rich. In the dream, you're totally convinced I am beggar. So this means what? If I'm equally convinced that I'm a beggar in the dream and equally convinced that I'm a rich person here, so this means what? Even ahamkara is subject to negation. Okay? So this means this person who thinks they are something. You don't think that when you relax, do you? When you're just having a relaxed time, just dozing away. Where is your sense of, I am man or woman? Where is that when you're just having a relaxing time? It's gone. So ahamkara is what takes your roles and says, this is me. You know, I am experiencing, I am this role. I am teacher, I am student. But throughout all of those roles, what? You know that you are still self-evident, irrespective of what roles you're experiencing. Okay? Ahamkara. Is there any confusion?
It's also a kind of sense, no? Kind of I sense, which is an object actually. So it can't be me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly.
Way you can look at it.
I am scratching, I am communicating with you, I am, looking at you now. This is constant, what I am is going through different, conditions. But there is an underlying presence. I am throughout.
And with self-evident, you mean the self evidences or approves any experience by its own, right? Like it's self-evidencing the other object.
It's okay. You can say that. So it's giving proof to this right now. Who's giving proof to this experience right now? You are giving experience. And so that one who's giving proof to this right now, to what are they giving proof right now? That one is giving proof that Andre is speaking and Felix is now, shaking his head. Now what's coming here? Awareness, 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 awareness. What's changing? Just two people having a conversation. You understand? The underlying awareness is what we say Sat Chit. Now let's see more about this, what the book says. Okay, it starts with Evam Pinda. Evam Pinda. Evam Pinda. Brahmanda Yoho. Brahmanda Yoho. Aikyam Sambhutam. Aikyam Sambhutam. Now that the world has come, okay, you're probably reading the verse. So this means, once upon a time, before the universe came, there was no subject-object division. There was no me, and there was no object. Now, having the body being created, and the subtle body has now entered, has found an appropriate gross body. Appropriate based on what? Based on what you've done in the past, what the doer has done, all of their actions in the past life. So now, what happens? Now the whole world of form, right? Big Bang and the universe, the whole world has come, and now there is what? A subject. So this means what has established now? A division. There is now the object, right? Object, and there is what? A subject. Now, what is the subject? This is an ignorant subject, right? So they look at themselves and they say, I am different from you. I am different from this world. I am different from, from this cup. And so there's now an establishment of division. Why is there establishment of division? Because of this. I tell you, without this, we would not be experiencing this division. So what it wants to say here is, now what is this made of, right? What is the subject made of entirely? What is your body made of? What is your thoughts made of? What are your emotions made of? What's your experience made of? Nothing but the physical body, gross elements, and your thoughts, nothing but the subtle elements. So now here's the question of race equality, or superiority with color of the skin. It's just 5 elements. 5 elements African, 5 elements Indian, 5 elements a white person. What's the difference? It's just all made out of the exact same substance, 5 elements. And so now, what do we do with this? Now, how do we use this for contemplation? Well, think about it. If now that the world has come and the subject that's now sitting down and talking and the object, everything else that is known to the subject, if they're nothing but objects made out of 5 elements, and 5 elements is nothing but a product of Ishvara, then what is this? So this means everything we are experiencing right now is God. Where is the question of being away from God? So this means now God takes on a different understanding. And what is this God? What is Ishvara? Now that the world has come, we ask who created this world, and we give names in different languages called God. And then we say, what is God? All knowledge, all power, manifesting right now. So what is God? All knowledge, all power, manifesting this world right now. And this all knowledge, all power is what Brahman with its Maya Shakti. Brahman with its Maya Shakti. Because we said you cannot do anything with your knowledge or your power unless it is within an aspect of a conscious being. You need to infuse knowledge with consciousness so that knowledge can do something with it. So now what's common here? If this whole world is intelligently being sustained together, which means what? It's resting on a conscious one, on a conscious being, and your body is not away from this world, which is also resting on a conscious being, on a conscious intelligence and material. So now where's the difference between this world and this little individual? When the world is being sustained by all knowledge, all power, this individual right now sitting going, wow, is also sustained by knowledge, power. Where's the difference? The difference is only in the size. Okay, so what? You either want to be big or you want to be small. You just happen to be a small little thing. But it doesn't say anything about who you are. So this means there's only one knowledge power through and through all forms, manifesting forms in different sizes and shapes. And you just happen to be one of these forms right now that are being manifested and sustained by all knowledge, all power. So now where's the question of being special or non-special, or maybe these are not even valid questions. It's just a matter of understanding. There's only one Ishvara in whom all of this obtains, and Ishvara is nothing but names and forms put together. We use an example of this, like the ocean. The ocean we equate to Ishvara. And what? All waves obtain within the scope of the ocean. And at the same time, they're not different from the ocean. So this means if you account all of these waves together in the ocean, you call that simply what? Ishvara, okay? But from a single standpoint, you call that a Jiva. And yet the whole thing, both the waves and the ocean, is beautifully coordinated, sustained, and resolves by this one reality. And you're just this one little thing of this reality. So now what does this mean? Here we are, swimming in God. You're swimming in God all the time, right now. Okay? So this is a contemplation. What kind of contemplation is this? So this means if we go out now, it's not just plants and trees and this and that. Where does the vision go? 5 elements, 5 elements, 5 elements, 5 elements looking at 5 elements. And this whole thing resolves into the 3 gunas, a power of consciousness, and that depends on ultimately consciousness. The whole thing depends upon consciousness.
I think I know the answer to this, but how would you explain the bad things which, also exist?
Good. So now, what did I say about knowledge? I said that there's either knowledge or there's absence of knowledge. So if I don't have the right knowledge, not that I have the right, it's not right or wrong knowledge. If I don't have enough knowledge, then innocently I will act within the scope of my knowledge. So this means if my knowledge is this big, I can only act and choose within the scope of my knowledge. But therefore, because I do not have a connection with that which is outside, I do not have connection with, with nature, with how to communicate. All of this is not within the scope of my knowledge. So I can only pick limitations out of my repertoire. And those limitations are just not compatible with the environment. And this non-compatibility is what they call it sin, they call it error. So it's actually not evil. Don't look at it, it's called error. That means I didn't have the right knowledge in that moment. I chose from a selected amount of experiences. Was it done deliberately? No, it was done innocently. So this means we all make mistakes innocently. And some people make really big mistakes innocently. Some people make small mistakes innocently. Why? Because if you were born, with all knowledge, or a lot more knowledge, you could not commit a mistake. So all mistakes get committed only because we are denied a certain amount of knowledge in our life. The second reason for that is because, see, everyone is born with a natural program as a baby. And this natural program is called ahimsa. This means the capacity, understanding that I do not want to hurt my species, nor does my species, my kind, want to hurt me. This is why a bird, can be together with its kind, but it doesn't want to be around cats. Okay? Because it understands there's a program. My own species I do not want to hurt, but if there's a species, that I can munch upon, then I will, if I'm hungry, maybe I'll have some of that. So what happens is every baby gets born with a natural program of ethics. But then look at this. Suppose a child, right, starts to grow up in a family where the father, the way he exudes love for the mother is by controlling her. So that is his version of loving or showing that, because he thinks to love, your woman, to love your man, then what, dominate her, show her, because you care about her. And this care ends up being too restrictive on the mother, right? But that's his version of love. So now the child learns, so to love another individual, I have to what? I have to hold control. So when the child grows up, then he exudes or she exudes the exact same behavior by trying to overpower the other person. And the other person then calls them what? Evil, whatever they call him, this is unfair. So now, is this man doing it intentionally? No, his program got overridden by conditioning of the childhood. That's another reason why we do these silly things, even though the whole program is benevolent. The whole program is just there to ensure the survival of the species, that nobody gets hurt. But in the real world, we don't observe that. We observe a lot of the other side, corruption and all this. This is because, exactly, this is because I do not understand, I'm not thinking long term, I'm not thinking ahead. So I do not understand what consequences this will ensue other than the consequences for me. Now, why is it only for me? Because that's what a person learns. They learn it from the society to succeed in the world. What the focus gets placed more onto oneself than the capacity to understand the well-being of others. So that is also a skill. Okay. So in other words, it gets what? Overridden by personal agenda. So this means dharma gets overridden by personal values, and therefore now dharma has less motivation, and personal values have more motivation. So this is why so it's personal value issue. The person thinks that by having this value fulfilled, I'm going to gain. They do not understand that actually it is not helping me in the long term. So this they have not come to understand.
Andre, can you also explain how it works for people who consciously murder or hurt or steal?
Yeah, so the question is, what about those who consciously See, it's not like they do it unconsciously. It's done with some act of deliberation. So it's the same thing. You can get what a person trained, to kamikaze, for example. You tell them enough, show them enough evidence, and then slowly you override their program by showing that it is actually in your highest good. So you provide the wrong information, and then it just overrides this sense of feeling that I'm doing something wrong. Okay, even those who have tortured. I've heard there was some war, Israel and Palestine, right? There was some torture going on, and they said the only way we were able to do that was by getting drunk, because we couldn't do it any other way. We had to cover our pain of hurting another person by drinking. That's the only way we could have done that act. So you see, you cannot override this program. It's always there, but then the person would deliberately justify why I am going to be okay, why this is the right thing to do. So this is the capacity of free will. Free will is so powerful, you can even override the natural program given to you at the time of birth. Okay, so so in other words, there's no concern for the well-being of others. So by that definition, I can do things deliberately, because I don't see any And one more thing is this: we call this how do we call this? When a person dies, they don't see anything after. This is it. This is one life that I'm going to live. There's nothing after. Think about what kind of life this is going to induce. This means I don't have to worry about consequences. I can do whatever I want. It's just pure darkness. That's the end of who I am after death. And then you show this person a little bit of a world they can, walk through, and what's going to happen: consumering, doing things, no concern about death. So there's many reasons why people do it deliberately. Yeah, but the main point is there's no such thing as what we call sin or evil. Sin or evil is a product of making an error, right? Adding value onto, with your personal values overriding the universal values. The universal values for harmony, for well-being, it gets overridden by personal values. So that's only possible how? With the capacity of free will. Animals can't do that. That's why animals, you say, well, what about a lion eating an antelope? That's not evil, that's just a program for the sake of survival. So from their standpoint, it is not considered evil. It's only considered evil when you know what's inherently true, but then you do something against it anyway. That's considered inappropriate, which incurs consequences in the future. Okay, next verse. Sthula sharira bhimani, sthula sharira bhimani, jivanamakam, brahma pratibimbam, bhavati, sa eva jivaha prakritya swasmat. Sa eva jivaha prakritya swasmat Ishvaram bhinatvena janati avidya upadhi san atma jiva iti uchyate Maya upadhi san Ishvara. Maya upadhi san Ishvara. So I want to share first let you read. Okay, let's share first. See, this is a long verse, so I'll break it down into parts. How does the sentient and insentient come? How does a sentient insentient come? So we're not talking about the world. See, what does both sentient and insentient enjoy? Existence, okay? So in other words, you know, their forms are going to change, but their existence is going to be the same. So like what, you know, so let's take rock, rock is, right? But thought is also, you know, body is also. So now what's the difference between an insentient and your body if they both enjoy existence? Rock is, mineral is, carbon is, you know, emotion is. So what does this mean? Both the sentient and insentient enjoy what? Existence. But does the insentient rock enjoy awareness? No. Now the question is why? Subtle body. So what do we have? We have, you know, so what the rock cannot perceive, for example, right? Because it doesn't have the right instrumentation. So now the subtle body means what? I need a certain kind of matter, a certain kind of form that's able to, what we call, you know, receive consciousness and you know, and perceive the world. For example, suppose you have a table versus a tree. Let's take this example, a table versus a tree. What's the difference between a table in your house and a tree outside? Well, they're both wood. They're both wood, right? But suppose you cut a tree and suppose you have 5 trees in your garden, and you cut one of the trees and you make a table, and you put that table in your house, and then go on a holiday for 5 years and come back. Now, what's happened? The trees, right? The other trees have all grown, but what happened to the table? Has the table suddenly overtaken your house? No, the table is exactly the same size. Why? But the wood is there, right? The wood is there. So now, what made the tree grow outside and this table not grow? That's what we call the subtle body. So whatever has the capacity to grow, to respond to the environment, is what has the subtle body. And we even have, we even have like sunflower, right? Sunflower responds, it's a nice dance, you know, do. It's like a happy flower, right? We have, a sperm cell also receives, looks for the right egg to merge with. So this means even a single sperm cell has subtle body. Because if it were not to have a subtle body, then what? It would just stay there like a like a piece of dust. So this means anything, even the mitochondria, which has a function, relative to the components inside the cell. See, a cell is made up of several components. One of them is a mitochondria. So even the entire cell, for it, like white blood cell, to deflect illnesses, it means it has to have some intelligence as to how to ward off illnesses, which means the single white blood cell has also what has to be pervaded by the subtle body. It's not like it has its individual subtle body. Careful, because the sperm is within the scope of your physical body. The white blood cell is within the scope of the physical body. But what is the entire physical body pervaded by? The subtle body. Okay, so anything that will respond will have this subtle body, and therefore now the question is, now what happens? What is the experience of a jiva? What is our experience? Like, why are we finding ourselves right here? And we said this earlier. We said when the subtle body comes, right? One subtle body, that's called your mind right now. what happens with this subtle body? It is now partaken by, consciousness is partaken by the subtle body. And then the subtle body further obtains in the physical body. And then what do we say? We say, me, Sat Chit, am having this small experience right now, right here. So me, the limitless one, the one who has no limits, being partaken by the subtle body further obtaining in the physical body. And what is your experience right now? The one that is full, the one that is limitless. What is your experience, Mr. and Mrs. Full One? Wow, where's the question of fullness? I feel, like I'm very limited. So this means the limitations belong to the subtle body. They belong to the physical body. They do not belong to awareness. But it seems like I, awareness, am limited because wearing this temporary limited instrument for a short while. So this means we have to cognitively understand, yes, the scriptures say I'm full, I'm complete, but that is not my experience. So now what happens next step? You have to cognitively understand that is because my fullness, right now, you being full, looking through this limited instrument, wearing this limited instrument, obviously the experience will be what? Limited. But cognitively you understand my nature is fullness. I'm not bound by the range of my senses, by the range of my hearing, by the range of my sight. This is all owing to wearing this body. Were this Maya not to be here, there will be nothing but fullness right now. But Maya is here, so what if it's here? Maya is here, therefore this is the experience right now. Fullness, you right now are experiencing yourself apparently limited because of your own power. So this means this entire universe arose out of you, and you enjoy a power called Maya, and this Maya projects this entire universe, and one of the characters in this world is what we call Andre, what we call Felix, and so on. And therefore, now it appears like that I, the full one, unbound, am looking through this much, and I'm locally placed here, and you, also full, are locally placed over there. So now, so we have the subtle body, and what happens when the subtle body obtains within the physical body? It glows. Your physical body is glowing. If you want to know what I mean by that, compare your physical body to a dead body. No different. There's no correlation whatsoever. It's almost like I heard my friend once said, her mother died, and she was right next to her, and the moment she, had her final breath, released, she said, it's like my mom was just not there anymore. I did not relate to this person at all. One moment I was relating to this person, next moment, this is not my mom. This is just not my mom. Like literally, experientially, you feel it. This is not my mom. So this means that the subtle body has now left. Her mom has left. This was just an instrument to carry her mom. It was just a house where she could meet her mom. So this means now this what they call subtle body has now left, and what happens, it would take on a new body, and the whole process will repeat again. And this process will stop when one attains moksha. Until then, one just travels, taking on different bodies. Okay? And so, when wholeness, the wholeness, which is the one, why do I keep on saying you the wholeness? Because we've just logically seen that the whole thing depends on Sat and Chit. And we kept on saying? Shirt is because of shirt awareness. thought is because of thought awareness. So there's always a Sat and Chit, existence awareness in any aspect of your experience. Experience changes, but it always enjoys awareness in existence. And we just say that the final reality, which has no higher, is this very existence awareness. Therefore, if your experience proves that there is always existence awareness in everything, and this is existence awareness, so by definition means what? You have to already be enjoying the final reality right now. So this means there's nothing after Brahman. There's nothing, bigger, higher, deeper. This is it. Very simple. Sat, Chit. So this Sat Chit, obtaining within a physical body, the physical body glows, and what happens now? I say I am a doer, I am a sufferer, I go through pain, I go through joys, I have a life, and so what? Now this whole reality, Atma, has taken on an identity of a single individual person, and we call this person the subject, the pramata, and therefore there is what? The subject and the object, and thus this is how we deal with the world. This is everyone's experience, subject, object, and from your standpoint, you're the subject and I'm the object. So now look at this little analysis. From my standpoint, I'm the subject and you're the object. From your standpoint, I'm the object and you're the subject. So now where's the question of me calling myself a subject? Object, object. You understand? There's only object, object. So this means objects are many, subject is one. And this subject that is one we call Atma. Understand? So you cannot now say I am the subject and you're the object, because you will say the exact same thing. I am the object and you're the subject. So there's one thing for sure. Objects are many, but subject is one. And that subject is what we say is this self-evident I, this awareness in whom different objects obtain, including this object and this object. So let's ask now, what makes this Jiva, this living being, what makes them think, what gives them a sense of separation? Where is their sense of separation? What causes them to see this world different from themselves? What would it have to be?
Ignorance. Ignorance.
Ignorance. And now a better word for ignorance is? Yeah, absence of total knowledge. Absence of total knowledge. Now, what does it not know? What does the Jiva not know? Or let's put it this way. Where is the Jiva's focus for them to see themselves different from the world? Where would the Jiva's focus have to be?
Body.
What do we say about Upadhi? Upadhi is that which makes something appear what it's not. So this means owing to Upadhi, what? The Jiva's focus is on the Upadhi instead of the source, right? The source from which this whole universe arises. So this means it's on the names and forms. The gold, right? The golden ornament, its focus is on the ornament rather than the content, which is through and through all ornaments. So what makes the Jiva ignorant? The answer is what? Their focus is on the names and forms. Name form, name form, name form, name form. This name form is different from this name form, therefore there's a clear difference. And what does the Jivan Mukta understand, one who's liberated? Do they also experience a division? Of course they experience division, but what do they understand? Despite the division being experienced, there is actually no division. What causes the division? This power. Right now, this power is causing the division, but actually, it's only because of this power. There's no actual division.
Yeah, I just wanted to underline that it's an understanding, I think, and not something you can grasp or objectify, because it's impossible.
Yeah, you cannot. It's like soap. Yeah, so this understanding slowly, we see the unity. We see the one cause from which effects flow. So this is the teaching. We're just trying to understand. We're not trying to intellectualize this. Just understand all effects right now are going back to the same cause. So therefore, by definition, you cannot be different from the truth, because if it all arises out of the truth, out of the one, then you cannot be different from that one. And whatever difference you want to attribute are only what modifications of that one, modifications owing to what? Maya. Okay? So it's almost like Maya, Maya sculpts you. It's almost like Maya is sculpting you right now. So this is you, a little individual, and Maya is doing this, constantly changing. And where's the focus of the ignorant person? Right? Because it's only change. We get that. It's only change. But where's the ignorant person's focus? On the changes. Whereas the wise person's focus on that which supports all the changes, that which inheres in all of the changes. So in this case, the plastic. So the wise person's focus is on the plastic. The unwise person's focus is on how they're going through what? Jayate, viparinamate, right? All of this, metamorphosis and aging and declining and old age and all of this. So the focus is on that. But the wise person's cognitive understanding is, despite that, I remain exactly the one which has never been anything else other than that one, other this Sat Chit. Oh, we get to hurry. Okay, now it says Stula Sharira Abhimani Jiva Namakam. So the Atma who identifies with the gross body, that one is called a Jiva, whose another name is Brahma Pratibimbam. So again, Atma, so self, right, Brahman, who identifies with the gross body, with the subtle body, gross body, is called a Jiva. We call this also a subject, a pramata, a knower, right? An individual person. So now this word pratibimba, you probably heard this, but let's just erase what we've heard about, this pratibimba. So what have we understood so far? What's the purpose of the teaching? That all effects stem from the one cause. This right now is an effect. The truth of this effect is this one cause we call Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Sat Chit Ananda. Okay, so all effects stem to the same cause. This is the understanding first that we have to know. And what is this truth? It's the truth of all things. Just like the truth of all containers is what? It's always going to be the plastic. So it is in which all forms enjoy their existence. It is that in which all forms have their existence, enjoy their existence. So this is this much is to be known. So this means what cannot be negated here? You can negate the walls, right? I can take the walls down. I can easily go like this, right? The walls are down. I've negated the walls. But even if I've negated the walls, what have I not negated? I've not negated the content through and through the walls, through and through the entire structure, which is in this case the plastic. So you cannot negate existence, because then out of what is the next change going to come from? If I negate, in fact, even science will say that you cannot destroy anything. It only takes a different form. So this means whatever form it takes, that form still enjoys existence, no different than when it was a different form. So this much we have established. So now the question is, what are these effects? What are these effects that we are experiencing? there's three effects. There is pramata, prameya, pramana. These are the three main effects that account the entire universe. What do I mean by pramata? Pramata is who? You, the subject, the person. What is prameya? Prameya is the object. And what is the pramana? It's the experience that's happening between the subject and the object, right? The experience. Right now we're having an experience. Why? Because there are objects and there is a subject. So wherever there is object and subject and object, it means what? There will be a third one, there will be experience. So this experience refers to pramana. So pramata, subject, prameya, object, pramana, the thought or the experience regarding the subject and the object. So now look at this, if the subject, if this cause, the final cause was pramata, if it was the subject, that means what? Suppose we say the cause is the subject. Suppose we analyze this and say, I am the final reality. I am the final independent reality. So if this cause was the subject, that means it could not be the object. If it was the object, that means it could not be the subject. If it was the experience, then that means it could neither be the subject nor the object. And yet we experience all of them. So now who experiences all of them? The one that experiences all of them. The one who is that one? We don't need to define them. Whoever that one is, that one experiences what? Pramata, the subject, going and having a life, having this person, experiences this person looking at objects. Who is this person? The one that's looking now at this object. Experiences the person looking at the objects, and also in whose presence, is illumined the entire experience between the subject and the object. So, simple language. So this means whoever that one is, that is in whose presence, the subject, object, and experience is taking place, you cannot be either. Because if you were the subject, then you cannot experience the object. If you were the object, then there will be no who there to know about the object. And if you were the experience, then that experience will be constantly stuck to you forever. Even in deep sleep, you will be experiencing, pain. It will just not leave you. It will be constantly there. So this means you are free of all of them. But then the question arises, why does this individual who's now created, why do they identify themselves with this much? Why do they say I am small? That's the question being posed. Why do they say I am a small individual? So if the truth of this individual is the final reality, what makes them make this error? What makes us say I am a small individual?
Lack of knowledge.
Lack of knowledge. And this lack of knowledge is a different viewpoint in this word, which we call, Jiva is also called Brahma Pratibimba. Brahma Pratibimba. So this is a different way of explaining this term, lack of knowledge. So what does this mean? So we have established that pure consciousness, pure chit, right? Chit, just chit. What happens? Chit obtains in the mind, and this mind, how big is your mind? Small. Small. So this means what? Consciousness which is full will now experience itself as small. And we have a little analogy for this. So imagine you have a sun, you have the sun, and we're just going to equate the sun to, in this case, it's imagery to consciousness, that which lights up. And we have a bucket, and the bucket, the walls of the bucket is the physical body. The water in the bucket is your subtle body. So now what happens? the sun is, suppose now you have 5 buckets, okay, 5 buckets, and we will attribute different names to each bucket. And the sun is the one sun is shining on 5 different buckets. And what is each bucket experiencing? What kind of experience is each bucket having? The experience according to the quality of the water. So if the water is polluted, then what will be the experience of the bucket? Oh, I am polluted. If the quality of the water is pure, what will be the experience? Oh, I am pure. If the quality of the water is intelligent, oh, I am intelligent. So this means every bucket is what? Mixing its quality, its mind with so this what I am, the one I am that lights up all buckets. This one I am is now being superimposed the attributes of each bucket. And so therefore, each bucket now says, I am this much. But why are they saying I am in the first place? Why are they, what lights up their content? What lights up their water, their subtle body? There's one sun that also lights up the bucket of every other. However many buckets you want to put, 8 billion, they're all lit up by the one sun. But what kind of experience is each bucket having? An experience according to their individual water. Now imagine this. Suppose you now you have an ocean of water, okay? Total ocean, entire ocean. And this ocean is what you now also lit up by what? The sun. So now what is the ocean going to say? Because the ocean is huge, it's limitless. The ocean is going to say, I am limitless. But what's the bucket going to say? I am limited. What's the commonality? I am limitless. I am limited. What's the commonality? What is this limited and limitless in reference to? The amount of water, the Upadhi. So when the ocean says I am limitless, what is this limitless referring to? The Upadhi. I know all knowledge, all power. When the bucket says I am limited, what is that limitation referring to? It's referring to the size, the quality, and the size of the water. Therefore, what's the difference? The difference is the Upadhi. The difference is the one is all knowledge, all power. One is little bit knowledge, little bit power. But because of what is both of them gaining their glory? Because of what do both of them enjoy their glory? Because of the one I am that lights up the entire ocean and the one I am that lights up every single individual mind. And therefore, the commonality that both Ishvara, the entire universe, the entire God, and you enjoy is what? The one light which lights up the experience of the small and the big. What's the difference? It's merely the Upadhi. What's the truth? It is the one I am that is through and through, that is even shining and illumining the glory of Ishvara. Which is why when we look at an ocean, for example, we look at the ocean from the top to bottom and we go, wow, this coral reef is so beautiful. Why? Because the size is big. But when we look at a single bucket of water, we go, oh, it's just that much. So this means, this is why we all love Ishvara, because we love limitless. And therefore, this limitless that we love is illumined by this one I am that is also illumining this little mind right now. So where is the wise person's focus? It is on the focus on the illumining principle that is right now even shining upon this entire universe, lighting its glory up. So, now, what the verse wants to continue is, when this Atma, right, when it assumes this small individual, the small pramata, then what happens? This now Atma, this Brahman, what takes now the status of a small individual. Now it says, I am this much, I am this much. And why does it say I'm this much? Because it is in reference to the little bucket. So this means, where is the point of error? Where's the point of error? In merely the Upadhi. Understand this. Big Upadhi, small Upadhi, what is common? Okay, it's just the size of the Upadhi. So what? Big Upadhi, small Upadhi, medium-sized Upadhi, let the Upadhi be. That is the business of Maya. That's what it does. It's what it's expert at doing. But the one light that illumines the entire Upadhi is the one light that there is only one light there. And so this light now, you know what, it seems to be what? Suppressed because my focus is on merely the little bucket and that much amount of water in there. Okay. Therefore, Ishvara bina tvena janati, what does this mean? Now, committing this Upadhi mistake, putting the focus on merely the names and forms, Jiva considers Ishvara, Jiva, the little bucket, considers the entire ocean, the Jiva considers Ishvara, and now when I say Ishvara, I'm also talking about the world. There's not different things. Considers Ishvara and the world and everyone else as what? As different. In other words, considers Maya Upadhi as the final Satyam. Therefore, what does a Jiva now start to do? It starts to treat Maya Upadhi as the final truth, which is actually Mithya. And you cannot solve a Mithya problem with more Mithya solutions. Because how many? Because Mithya is made of thousands upon thousands upon thousands of layers that you can look into. And yet, now I'm supposed to take a problem which is made of thousands of problems itself, it's composed of thousands of problems, and I'm supposed to take a solution which itself is made up of thousands of solutions, and which one am I supposed to now mix and match to solve the problem? And therefore, no matter what the Jiva, who doesn't know this, tries to do, they will never solve the problem because they're taking merely Upadhi as the absolute reality when the Upadhi itself is undergoing constant change. So when they apply one change, tomorrow the whole thing is already changed, therefore all the effort is invalidated instantly. And thus the journey continues one life after another, seeking for the answer until one life, you know, you come to the teaching and you solve the problem. Okay. Therefore, now, you know, when the wise pot, you know, when the wise pot finally comes and says, you know, I am a pot, the wise pot says, I am a pot. It acknowledges its relative form. It doesn't deny it. It doesn't say, I am above all of this. It acknowledges step one. But when it says, I am a pot, in that moment it's saying, I am the very clay that obtains through this entire clay world. Okay? And therefore, what happens with your relationship to other people, to everything else now, it has a direct transformational change. Because you start to perceive all things as just expressions of this one content by the power of this beautiful creative power which we call Maya, which is operating right now. And this very power also brings a teacher who understands this, and the teacher expounds by the help of this power, and you, which is also generated by this power, come to understand that even if this power is right here, it does not limit me at all. In fact, I am grateful that my own power is able to produce all of this, because how beautiful is it to experience this world, knowing that you are eternal, nothing can happen to you, and one life you finally say, I no longer wish to live this world of limitation. I now wish to enjoy my limitless glory. And therefore, now the Jiva has a proper relationship with things in this world. Why? Because it has a perspective change. It starts to perceive things differently in the light of this knowledge. And then avidya upadhi atma jiva iti uchyate. So due to, as we said, partial knowledge, I don't say ignorance, due to partial knowledge, due to knowledge of the Upadhi and considering the Upadhi to be real, what Atma assumes the Jiva status. Okay? Atma assumes the Jiva status because the focus is on merely the Upadhi. And then Maya Upadhi San Ishvara iti uchyate. So it says here that Brahman, with his Maya Upadhi, is what assumes the role of Ishvara. Okay? Brahman with his Maya Upadhi assumes the role of Ishvara. Whereas, okay. So this is what we said. So when we say, who created this world, okay, so, we say Ishvara. So when Brahman, with its power activated, called Maya, with that power, we don't say now Brahman is identified with Maya. You don't say at the macrocosmic identification. Identification only happens at the microcosm. When we say at the macrocosm, you don't say Brahman is identified with Maya. You say Maya has its being in Brahman. Brahman is the foundation for Maya. But when Maya generates this universe, then, owing to partial knowledge, then what is now Brahman at the level of the individual is what? Identified with the Upadhi. Okay? And therefore, concluding, evam upadhi bhedat samsara nat nivartate. So therefore, due to taking this upadhi difference as real, what happens? This partial knowledge remains. Therefore, one doesn't know their full nature. In other words, so what? Self is now considered to be self, you are considered to be a body, mind, intellect. And so what? One carries themselves like a single individual in the world. And therefore undergoes birth and death. And what happens during each life? We accumulate more, we do actions, we acquire consequences, and a consequence always has to go back to the original doer. It cannot get offloaded to someone else. Therefore, when the body dies, a new body needs to be created so that the original consequences in the past can fructify to this person now. In fact, whatever consequences you're experiencing in this life are because of this subtle body, actions done in the previous physical body. So if your life is if you have a good time now, if you're born with rich parents or some, any kind of family, this is because of what this doer, this subtle body, has done in a different physical body and a different kind of life. We don't remember it, but this is how it is. So now, now what? Again, we now participate and we try to solve the problems, and this is called samsara. Samsara. Samsara is whereby, there's a constant need to solve problems. As problems come and I solve problems and I put more actions, and those actions create new consequences, and then I have to deal with those consequences. So this has an eternal cycle. So even if you have yoga, you have nirvikalpa samadhi. What happens there in yoga? So there's another mistake committed. The fella will try to enter a nirvikalpa. And when they come out of this non-dual, non-dual place, see, there's no pramata, prameya, pramanam in nirvikalpa, right? None of this. But when they come out of this, then they cannot explain away this world. And then you ask them, okay, I understand you enjoyed, your limitless glory in nirvikalpa samadhi, but how do you explain away this duality? Not interested, I'll just go back to my Advaita state. So this means the problem was not solved at all. They're now creating two divisions. One's an Advaita state, one is a Dvaita state. Advaita is not a state. Advaita is an understanding that right now, even though there seems to be divisions, there's actually no divisions whatsoever. That is true Advaita. So whether I enter the Nirvikalpa Samadhi or see many things here, what's the difference? It's just an experience. Okay? Or what other mistakes do we commit? We'll finish soon. What other mistakes do we commit? We give the final satyam to everything. So this means we call everything, we give reality to everything. And this is common in sects of religion, sects of even the Bhagavad Gita, as it is. This is promoting that Krishna is Vrindavan, dance, and gopis are all around him and dancing. So now you ask them, so what? How do you know there's duality? You ask this fella, how do you know there's duality? How do you know there's multiplicity? And they say to you, because the scriptures tell. And you say, the scriptures tell. Why do you need the scriptures to tell you what is obvious to everyone? Right? You don't need scriptures to know that things are 2, 3, 4. So why do you need that? And so they will make this argument. But there's a nice story that it kind of just says what happened. Is this fella went to a Advaita guru, and this is a story, right? And the Advaita teacher, was maybe a sadhu, I don't know, said to him, "You are Narayana, you are the Lord." And this fella, who was a genuine seeker, said, "How can I? Don't call me Narayana. I'm not the Lord. Don't call me this. No, you are Narayana." And this fella just had a problem with it. So, Lord, so what the Advaita Guru was referring to was, you're not different, you're the Lord. And this fella went off from the Advaita, he couldn't stand this. He went on into the Advaita Guru. So what did the Advaita Guru tell him? He said to the Advaita, this Advaita has told me that I am Narayana, I don't believe it. And this Advaita said, that's true, he doesn't know what he's talking about, you don't have the chakra, you don't have the embellishments, you're not Narayana, I guarantee you, come and study with me. I will show you that you are just a small little fella. And so he studied, he took on a 12-year, this is how they do Gurukulam, right? A 12-year study program. So he studied and he learned all of the logics, a lot of nyaya, logics of why, this is all duality and so on. And so he finally finished his program, and he's so glad to have a haircut because, in this Gurukulam, you just let your hair grow and you just, focus on the knowledge. So he went to, the first thing he went to a barber after the program ended. And this barber called Murari, was giving him not only a haircut but a shave. So this time he asked for a shave, and he sat down into the chair. And obviously this is the one time when this is just a barber. You don't disagree with them because they're holding a little blade. So you just want to be a good boy now. So now he sits down and Murari starts to cut his beard, and he does such a lovely job. He finally at the end shows the mirror. And this fella now looks and goes, "Oh my God, I look like 20 years. You took 20 years of my life. I look so new. I'm glowing now. Oh, you are Narayana. You're Narayana." And this fella, right? This fella got really angry. Like, "Hey, stop calling me Narayana. I'm just a simple barber." No, you don't understand. Look at my appearance. I thought I was old, and now I have so much confidence, and I'm glowing. I thank you. You are Narayana. How are you able to do this? This is amazing. And this fella got so angry, he said, "Stop calling me Narayana." He called his friend over there, "Tell him I'm not Narayana." And his friend says, no, he's not Narayana. He's just a simple, uneducated barber who's been working here for 20 years. And then the fella finally understood, I'm not going to call you Narayana. And then he thought about it. And he went over to the little river, and he found the Advaita Guru from 12 years ago. He recognized him, and he just walked up to him and he said, teach me. Yeah. And he says, why? Why? What's this change of attitude now? You left here so quickly. And what did he explain? What did this fella, this sadhu, explain? He said, I just went and learned 12 years I studied that that I am not Narayana. I spent 12 years studying that I am not Narayana, and yet this barber, uneducated, knew that he was not Narayana, and he knew nothing. So I just wasted 12 years learning that I am not Narayana. So this means you don't need the scriptures to tell you that you are just one small being. Everyone already knows that. The uneducated, the educated. Okay. So now, finally, he submitted to the Advaita Guru, and he started to provide him the right teachings, which is what we're doing now. So now let's see here. Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.